Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I am bringing you guys awesome interviews. And today it is an honor to have Mr. Steve Tucker. He's the vocalist and guitarist of Morbid Angel. They released their Night studio album on December 1st via Silver Lining Music. It's entitled Kingdoms Disdained. We're going to be talking to him about that album, and plus, like I said, this is one of the in my eyes, legendary metal bands. So, Steve, how's it going?
That's going great. I'm stoked about the new album and stoked about everything that's going on around it,
So, what's impressed you, Steve? What excited you the most about making the Night studio album? What's caught your eye about it or impressed you the most, if anything?
Man, always, dude. The same thing always, impresses me the most. What the hell does Trey come up with next, man? That's sort of the adventure for me, dude, is, what's Trey going to come up with musically, man, and what am I going to do on top of it? This guy, for me, is pretty much a master of riffs, man, and, it's sometimes it's awesome to be a part of turning them riffs into actual songs, man. It's always an adventure, dude.
That's true. Yeah, I can listen to his Morbid Angel's music, and from song to song, it's totally different. I'm thinking, geez, how in the hell is he going to top that one?
Man, it's always part of it. That's sort of the challenge as well, is always coming up with something new. It's like nobody that's involved with Morbid Angel wants to repeat what's been done in the past. Each Morbid album is different, and that's why Morbid is a band that has a lot of different kinds of fans. Man, Morbid has a lot of fans that are like early Morbid Angel fans, or there's fans that are, from specifically, let's say, Covenant, because, Covenant, they got a video on MTV for God of Emptiness, and it really brought in a whole different new kind of fan, and there's been, and then, we did a tour with Pantera on Gateways, man, and that brought in way more fans that had never been, exposed to Morbid Angel, So there's a lot of different kind of Morbid Angel fans, man, because of the Morbid writes a lot of different kinds of death metal songs, man. And it's a part of, I think, the goal, man. You know what I mean? It's like to always sort of keep growing, man, because, I guess once you're sitting still, for me as a musician, once I'm just doing the same thing I've already done, man, there's no real excitement. I played music because it excited me. That's why I got into music and wanted to create music and things like that. So, I hope it never becomes that stale. I hope that never happens.
Yeah, and plus this band has stood the test of the ups and downs of the music industry, to be honest with you, so far.
Man, this band has been around so damn long, it's unreal.
I know.
And,
yeah.
And it continues to be relevant, man. And one of the reasons I think is and always has been the fact that nobody could ever really put their finger on Morbid, man. Nobody could ever nail it down to Morbid being one kind of band. There's bands that they're okay with being lumped into being, quote unquote, a slam band or, deathcore or, whatever, but, Morbid Angel, always refused to be a part of that, man. It was always, its own sort of thing. It was redefining. That's a word I remember, reading about some of the albums in the past. It's redefining, death, the genre. It's redefining death metal. And dude, that's because it's original. When something's original, then you've never heard it, man. So it does now open the boundaries a little bit more,
Steve, any songs off the new album that stand out more to you on it than any as of right now possibly? I know it's like picking your favorite collectible or child, but are there any possibly on here that you like the most?
Man, it's really hard. I really like the song Garden of Disdain right now, man. It's one of the slower ones, and to be honest with you, man, I just kind of dig the effect on it and things like that. It's just a really cool kind of it's a cool song, man. And right now, that's the one that's got me. Last week, it was I was listening to For No Master quite a bit because we were going to be releasing it. You know what I mean? So that's a really fast one. So yeah, it just depends on the mood. Right now, that seems to be the one I'm going with, man.
You guys recorded at Mana Studios in St. Petersburg, Florida, and you guys produced it, plus with help from Eric Rutten, who's also worked with you guys, Cannibal Corpse, Hate Internal, 6 Feet Under, etc. How was working with him, and how good is it to have a familiar face working with you guys on something like this?
Man, you know, the thing about it is it was like, you know, it's like hanging out with your brother, dude. You know, there's more shit that's funny than with other people. You know what I mean? There's more things that you don't even have to say when you're with someone that's really tight with you, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, once you really become so tight with someone, you know, then, you know, a lot of time there's just things that you know by just having a glance at each other or whatever. Like, you know, with Rutan, man, we've been around each other so much that, I mean, I think Eric knows when I've reached the point where it's time to back off. You know what I mean? I also think Eric knows when I've reached a point where it's time to make a joke, you know, and and that's because, you know, we're bros, man, and we have been for many years. And to be honest, dude, we wanted to put up the least barricades in front of us doing this album that we could. And one of the things we did was we did a no-brainer, man. I mean, I think people have wanted Morbid to work with Eric for many years, you know what I mean? And it was a no-brainer, man. Absolutely. The only question is Eric available? Yes, Eric's available. Then for me, it makes 100% sense to work with Rutan. You know, he's more than just part of the legacy, dude. I trust him. Trey trusts him. Even management have known him since he was, you know, very young. I mean, there was a trust factor there that you just don't get with people until you've known them for a number of years. You know what I mean? It's, of course, we meet new people, dude, and instantly we can bond with people, and, you know, eventually they do become, you know, good friends. And I mean, that's how it was when I met Rutan. But, dude, now here we are 20-some years later, and I mean, come on, I couldn't ask for a better friend. And it's proven. It's proven over 20-some years that this is a trustworthy person. And besides that, he's the best producer in fucking death metal, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, yeah, man, it's a no-brainer for me, man.
Right there, folks, goes to show you that a producer can be the 6th or 7th member of a band. There you go.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, the thing about it is with Rutan, you know, Rutan doesn't try and change Morbid Angel. You know, when we went in to work with Rutan, he's not trying to change anything about Morbid Angel at all. What he's trying to do is he's trying to capture it, man. He's trying to make it be as Morbid Angel as it possibly can really be. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, Morbid's a band that goes in and, you know, everything's real. The drums are, you know, now, you know, this drums on this album, man, they're all real. There's no triggered, you know, kicks in there or anything, man. It's a real album, man. Real guitar sounds and you know, everything's real, dude. And like that's something that, you know, is about capturing what a band sounds like, you know, when you walk into a rehearsal space, man. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bands that, dude, you hear on my album, they sound great, man. You walk into the rehearsal space and you're like, what the fuck's going on? This doesn't even sound remotely like what I thought it would. And, you know, Morbid's a band that's not the case, man. Like even back in, you know, 96 or whatever, when I first auditioned for Morbid Angel, man, you know, the thing about it was, you know, once all the power was turned on, dude, and Morbid Angel started to play a Morbid Angel song, it was as recognizable as it could possibly get. And, you know, with Eric, dude, we knew that that's what Eric wanted to achieve. He wanted it to sound exactly like Morbid Angel without really changing much, just making things sound big and monstrous, you know.
How was it being reunited with founding guitarist Trey Azagoth for this record, Steve? How was reuniting back with him?
And to be honest, it was one of those things, dude. And I have this with multiple people, and a lot of people do out there. You know, it's, you know, you got those certain friends or certain people, man, where it doesn't really matter how many days or months have gone by. As soon as you see them, it's like you just hung out yesterday.
Yep.
You know, I mean, Trey's one of them guys for me, man, and Rutan is as well. You know, like I could go a few years without seeing Rutan, and then we hang out, dude, and the same jokes are funny, the same old, you know, we know each other, man, and it's like that with Trey as well, dude. You know, as soon as we were talking, dude, it was you know, like, oh, my friend's back around. You know, I mean, it's pretty simple, dude. I mean, sometimes, you know, you just got a connection with people, dude. And with Trey, man, I show him respect, and Trey shows me respect. And I mean, we both creatively really enjoy working together. So once we got past the initial on the phone talking about it and got into a room, man, it was absolutely great. It was like a day hadn't passed, man. It was just like, you know, we took a break after the last album, and here we are again, you know.
How much growth musically have you seen yourself and the band go through up till the release of this album? Or has this been more of a personal growth for each of you guys?
Man, I think that it was more about what happened, away from each other, man, that actually made us it even cooler to be around each other now. You know what I mean? Like, growth is something that just happens with time, dude. It's my opinion that unless you mess up, unless you run into some walls out there, you never really learn shit. I think everybody involved kind of hit their walls, man. You know what I mean? Like, we've all kind of gone through different things in different phases and sort of different disappointments, man. And then, once you deal with those sort of things, once you get in a situation where everybody's on the same page, man, then it's almost like, coming home to an extent. You know what I mean? It's just and then natural shit can happen, I think,
It's like a meant to be thing, pretty much. I get you.
Man, I kind of felt that way this whole making of this album, dude. I literally kept having deja vu, and it seemed like, man, it seemed like I was in the place I was supposed to be, and that things were going down the way that they were meant to be going down somehow, man. Man, there was a lot of sort of things that just fell into place with the whole thing, man. It's always been that way with Morbid, man. Morbid's always got some weird shit around it, dude. Morbid Angel is more than just a band, man. It's some weird entity out there,
I know you guys have been doing this for a very long time, but do you guys do anything differently during the writing and recording process, to help keep your minds open and fresh, to not stray away or let the music get stale, if that makes sense?
Man, one thing I did a little different on this album, man, just because I really actually just wanted to feel a part, of the vibe of Morbid, was I didn't really write any music until we actually got in a rehearsal space. So anything I've written on the album, I wrote in the rehearsal space, man, live, which for me, man, it was something I hadn't done since sometime in the 90s, man. I hadn't really gotten just together in a room with a drummer and another musician and sort of created music on the spot. It was just, I don't know, man. It was something that I used to do on a regular basis, and I always loved the results, man. And I always felt that, the results of that sometimes was more of an intensity at times. And now, just after doing the album, when I listen to the songs that were written that way in the rehearsal space, man, they're actually probably the most aggressive songs as far as in your face speed and stuff on the album, man. And that's just literally just coming from just jamming,
What have you brought back to Morbid Angel that they might have been missing out on, Steve, if anything possibly, man?
Man, some meanness, I think. I think a little underlying fucking meanness,
What do you hope fans take away from the new album once they start to listen to it, or just Morbid Angel's music in general?
Man, the thing about that is I really don't necessarily want to limit, the Morbid Angel fans that way, because, there's a lot of significant things happening in the lyrics of Morbid Angel. But to be honest with you, man, there really might not be some people's cup of tea, man. They might just go into, down the rabbit hole a little bit too far. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's cool. If there's people that just, if they're all about the guitars or if they're all about the drums, for me, man, one of the very first things I loved about Morbid Angel was the drumming. You know what I mean? Besides everything. I've never been a drummer, dude. I fucking wish. You know what I mean? Like, if I could be a drummer, dude, believe me, I would have been a drummer all these years. Mm-hmm. So for me, man, there's all of those elements, are things that make it cool. So I really, honestly, man, it's very impossible for me to pinpoint a certain kind of Morbid Angel fan, because, dude, there are still people literally that I will meet at the shows that they'll tell you, man, my favorite album and nothing else will ever match it is Altars of Madness, dude. They'll tell you that, and they're still Morbid Angel fans. But to be honest with you, man, if Morbid Angel only did that album and only ever played that album, they would be fucking thrilled. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment. I agree with moving and continuing to create, And there's other people, man, their favorite thing about Morbid is, the actual, the guitars. Trey, man, is he's a special guitar player. There's no doubt about that, man. And so there's a lot of people that are strictly, man, they're there for, if I would just shut up and let Trey play guitar, they'd be more than happy. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, and I accept all of that, dude. I mean, you know, I'm sure it was the same a little bit in Van Halen, dude. You know what I mean? I'm sure that it was very similar, you know. It's just the truth, dude. And to be honest with you, man, if there's anything I appreciate, man, you know, in life is, you know, the truth, dude. I prefer the truth, you know. So with Morbid, it's just always like, you never know, man. I mean, some people, they there's a certain element, certain period, and they latch on. And to be honest with you, the thing about it is I just got to kind of respect them all, man, because they're all right. You know what I mean? They're all right. Every single one of them is right about it. I mean, you know, and, you know.
How about this, man? I know you just come back to Morbid Angel, but the generations of fans that come out to see you guys, and I'm talking about like, you know, dad, grandpa, you know, grandchild, the nephew. What's that mean to you when you're seeing generations of families that are passing Morbid Angel down to their kids and they're absolutely eating it up and wanting to be a fan and come see you guys? What do you say to that?
Man, to be honest, I'm more than anything just honored. You know what I mean? I mean, to be a part of anybody's life for 20 some years, man. You know what I mean? And for them to still think what you did 20 years ago is amazing, and they will appreciate it so deeply, man. I don't really know that I can put into any kind of words how that makes me feel, dude. I mean, there's no way for me to describe it, man. I'm a pretty humble dude, man. I'm not necessarily a dude who's real comfortable with a lot of compliments from the get-go. You know what I mean? I just want to kick ass, dude. I want everybody there to fucking have a blast, man. You know, and like that. But you know, when it happens, I mean, we toured the States last, you know, May and June, and I mean, it happens, man. You meet dudes, and they're there with their teenage son, and it's like. You know, they're telling you, man, you know, this album reminds me of when he was born, or this song reminds me of you know, this, man, this was the one that he first started liking, or, you know what I mean, something like that. And it's like, dude, somehow, you know, now a heavy metal band is a part of their family, you know, in a roundabout way. They're the soundtrack and at times to their family. And I mean, that's amazing. But I get it, dude, because, you know, I have that relation to music from when I was a child, man. And I have that relation to music that, you know, from when my mother was, you know, cleaning the house, or when, you know, had friends over and they had on music, man. You know, so those things all sort of, they become a part of, like I said, your soundtrack, you know. And to be a part of anybody's soundtrack of their life, man, that's pretty freaking amazing, man.
And I'll tell you right now, dude, I've done a lot of interviews over the past 6 years, and I cannot tell you how many musicians, including national bands, Steve, that have gave you guys so much damn credit on the inspiration of them coming up as musicians to what they have become today is pretty fucking phenomenal, man.
Man, I agree, dude. I think it absolutely is. And I mean, you know, before I was in Morbid Angel influenced me, man. You know, people get in this thing where they want me to bust David fucking Vincent's balls and shit about the last album or whatever, you know. And to be honest with you, occasionally I've been quoted not saying the nicest thing or something, but dude, you know, don't be mistaken. I have nothing but respect for that dude, man. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I mean, honestly, man, for me, you know, David Vincent was the front man of death metal. Him and Glenn Benton, dude, to me, man, they were death metal, bro. They were, you know, everything about death metal that was cool. You know, David Vincent sort of had the evil, the sort of evil, more, I don't know, man, how you would say it, man, a little bit more of a Van Halen thing going on. But, you know, Glenn Benton had on that fucking, hey, I actually may just be Satan thing going on. You know what I mean? You weren't quite sure whether or not he was Satan or not. You know what I mean? Like, cool either way, you know? But, like, you know, so, I mean, you know, David, man, was, you know, he was a badass, bro. And, I mean, like, you know, Altars was fucking, man, that changed everything, dude, for everybody, man, for everybody. Not just a death metal, man. It changed shit for thrash, because now, you know what, dude, all of a sudden thrash was no longer the badass shit. when Authors of Madness came out, the game fucking changed, dude. Everything changed. It was all about death metal now. Everybody was turning their head and looking at death metal, and David Vincent was a part of that, man.
Mm-hmm.
The people, I'm sure they want there to be some big crazy National Enquirer sort of battle there going on, but the truth is, man, I've got respect for everything that those guys did, man. It was badass. And then, dude, I came along, and then we did some albums, and then that last album, dude, I know that a lot of people, whatever about that album, but to be honest with you, man, I'm not gonna sit and judge these guys whatsoever by that album, man. There was some cool shit on that album. There was some cool, some really cool stuff, man. Of course, they experimented. It's Morbid Angel, dude. Of course they experimented.
And I'll tell you this right now, I agree with Steve 1,000%. Not just because he's on here, I'm not sucking his ass or anything like that. I just tell it like it is. But when you can go from a death metal to fucking country music and you kill it at that as well, that's awesome. I thought that.
Dude, David's talented, bro.
Yeah.
He's fucking talented. Dude, look, I have to be honest about singing in death metal, dude, okay? Like, I can't stand guys that are doing this melodic on top of death metal thing. I cannot stand it, man. It's just my personal preference. I don't think they suck as musicians, nothing like that, dude. It's just not my thing, man. David, what he did on God of Emptiness was goddamn groundbreaking, bro.
Yep.
It honestly was never, in my opinion, hasn't been matched yet. Never has anybody done a vocal, a clean vocal in a death metal song where it was as cool as that was, dude. And honestly, man, he was just, he was a dude who was, he was pushing the boundaries from day one, dude. There's no doubt about it.
What can fans expect at a show from the mighty Morbid Angel who have not got to come out and see you guys yet?
Man, one thing that we're doing now, man, that Trey and I both agree on is we want to constantly be changing up the set list, dude. We don't want to be doing the same set list tour after tour, man. We want to constantly be playing songs from all the different time frames of Morbid Angel, man. But, we want to play songs that weren't always necessarily the songs to get played, dude. Because, man, you write these albums, you're part of these albums, and all the songs are sort of your creation, dude. And some songs end up just being the songs that become more. I don't know if you say they're more liked. It's just they're the more sort of popular of the songs. You know what I mean? And man, a band like Morbid that's existed for 30 years, man. You play a song every night for 25 of those years, and it's like, man, let that song sit for a little while and get fresh again, and we're going to play some other songs. That's kind of what we've agreed to do right now, dude. We want to just keep mixing it up because, man, all the songs are great. You know what I mean? So we just want to play a lot of different ones, man.
Now, this is kind of like a double-edged sword kind of a question, but I know it's the digital era that we live in right now, Steve, but do you guys like this of recording albums the digital way? And plus, we got social media now. Do you think that's increased the fan likage for Morbid Angel?
Man, digital media changed everything. Not just digital media itself, but high-speed internet, man. The combination of the two things, man, they really changed everything for the entire music industry. Not just metal, not just death metal. From everybody, I would say from, Mariah Carey, man, to all the way up to, Cannibal Corpse, man. Sure. Everyone has been, it's changed for everyone because of that. It's kind of a shame, dude. It's really, but it kind of really ties into a lot of things going on in the world. People will just take an album and never think twice about just grabbing an album. But they're disappointed when bands come to an end because they can't afford to make albums. You know what I mean? It's, so it's a weird thing. But the thing about it is Morbid Angel is lucky, man. Morbid Angel has a lot of fans that have been loyal for many, many years. Come hot or cold, you know what I mean? They're there, and with that, Morbid's always been able to continue to make quality albums and things like that, and go out and do cool tours and play to a lot of people, man. It's really, I like to think it's really because Morbid has always maintained the originality factor to the band,
Is there a show or a moment that stands out possibly? And like I said, I know you guys have been doing this for a long time, especially yourself. But is there a show or a moment that stands out being part of Morbid Angel, possibly?
Oh man, man, we've done a lot of shows, man. I mean,
Right.
honestly, playing places like Wacken. I mean, I can remember almost every second of playing Wacken, and we played a festival in Denmark called Roskilde, man, and that was just humongous, man. So many people. But the thing about it was that was like maybe twice the size of the Wacken, but then they weren't all like Wacken type metalheads. You know what I mean? So, man, I have to say, playing Wacken, playing Grass Pop, man, those were some of my best memories ever.
Grass Pop and vodka, like you're talking about, and I'm not knocking American festivals. I wish they'd get you on some American festivals over here, like Rock on the Range and Louder in Life. Hello, folks, wake the fuck up. But it seems like the fans overseas, man, you could just strike a chord and they're doing everything else for you. You don't have to do nothing except play the song. That's it. They're already in it for you.
Man, the difference between, Europe and America was always the fact that, people that are in the music industry and in Europe, people that are involved in it all the way from your local stage crew all the way up to, to the people at the shows, man, they were lifelong a part of what they were doing. There's a lot of people in the United States, a lot of magazine people, even a lot of people that are just, heavy metal music as a whole is not their life. They've also got a regular job. They've got a regular job, and then, they work on music whenever they can. And I mean, it really shows that music for a lot of people, man, it's their true love. They're willing to give up their very, very few spare hours just to get to, do a podcast. You know what I mean? Or something. It's really, I mean, it shows how important music is, but yet somehow, man, out there in this pop world, music's been sort of undercut, you know what I mean, and made to look not important.
So what made you want to become a musician? what was that spark for you that said, yeah, I want to do that?
Man, for me, it's not like it was really kind of ever a choice, dude. I mean, I don't know, man. I love music. I love creating music, man. I mean, I can remember when I went to the symphony and completely was blown away by music. And then the next phase of it was I remember seeing a band in this old game room, video game room where they had Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and shit. I remember there was a band that was set up in the back room, man, and I remember seeing their sound check and just realizing that only 4 people with these instruments, in their hands, man, can make such a big, awesome sound. That closed the deal, dude. That closed the deal for me, man. I knew that's what I wanted to do, and honestly, I was at the time 6 or 7,
Are there any musicians that's passed away or that's out there right now, or any bands that you'd like to get back together for just a couple of days to work with? I mean, could you pick anybody possibly?
Man, I'm not digging up anybody to write songs. I'll meet them in hell and we'll write some songs. Dude, I honestly, man, one of the things I told myself a few years ago was, man, I want to make as much music, man, as I can with as many cool people that I can for the rest of my life, man, until I can't do it anymore. That's really my one goal in life, is to just keep making music with cool people, man. And, there's a lot of people, man. I used to play a long time ago with Pat O'Brien from Cannibal Corpse, man. We were in a band together when I was 18, 19 years old. And, man, I would love to jam with Pat again. I would love to get in with a drummer and Pat and just jam and have fun, man. So, dude, that's the thing for me, man. It's music's always been sort of not really just my career, or not really just an addiction. It's always also been, there's a social element of it as well, man. I have some really long time friends, man, that had it not been for music, we would have never crossed paths, man. So, for me, it's everything, and there's a lot of musicians that I want to play with, dude. Pretty much anybody that's cool and got good ideas, I want to jam,
Folks, Morbid Angel's Night Studio album is going to be out December the 1st on Silver Lining Music, titled Kingdoms Disdained. Get out and pick this album up. I like Morbid Angel. Always have liked them since the first time I heard them. It's different. Like Steve said, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but hey, the heavier the better for me. So thank you, good sir, for what you all have done over the past years, man. Right on, man. Stay brutal, brother. How can folks stay in touch with you guys? Buy some merchandise, tour dates. How can they do that, Steve? Man, of course, morbidangel.com, and we have a Facebook page and all the normal shit, Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show? Yeah, that's cool. This is Steve Tucker from Morbid Angel, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Thank you so much, Steve.
Have a great day, dude.